Uh, Transitioning to soccer, because there are also some historical moments yesterday and over the weekend. European Championship, Italy and England, two prominent nations facing off for the European Championship, and it was an all-time classic. Came down to a shootout, and Italy prevailed in the penalty kick, through penalty kicks, winning their first European Championship since 1968, the longest gap between titles ever for a nation. Between titles forever. Now, we know that they've obviously advanced past the group stage 7 times, and they've reached the finals at least 3 times in their history of the European Championship. And when we looked back at their last 3 European Championships, it was pretty remarkable. A quarterfinal appearance, then it was the runner-up, and then the quarters again. And now this year, they win the whole thing. So they're adding to their total. Now they've got 2 European Championships, Italy, and 4 World Cup titles. And it's absolutely sensational. The team played extremely well. But here's the interesting thing. It's so interesting how much difference a couple days can make for a soccer squad, because we just saw this Italy team seem to get really outplayed by Spain just a couple days ago in the semifinals. The possession arrow, the shots on goal, the shots on target, corner kicks, the advantage all went to Spain, yet it was Italy that scored on a quick counter, and they ultimately prevailed in PKs. And now the script was kind of flipped against England, because the first 2 minutes of the game, you have England now scoring. Luke Shaw scores on a cross through the box from Trippier, and he one-times it with his left foot within the first minute and 57 seconds of the game. That was the fastest goal ever in the European Championship. It was scored by England, and yet, despite that, you had Italy that dominated possession, 62%, dominated shots on goal and shots on target. The advantage went to Italy, 17 shots on goal for Italy, just 5 for England. 5 of those were shots on goal for Italy, and only 2 of them were on goal for England. And you looked at the pace of the play and the number of passes that were executed, and now the possession and the beauty and the grace. The control seemed to be with Italy, yet you look up at the scoreboard, and until midway through the second half, England is the team that's up in front, because both defenses played extremely well and really didn't give their opponents many open looks. Every single shot was contested. Every single shot was challenged. And that's what was important, is the fact that, yes, these teams were getting these shots on goal, but what made England and Italy so unique, especially this tournament, especially England, was the defense. I mean, Gareth Southgate, I thought, did a really good job of managing this club, but it's just a shame, because for the game to have ended in the fashion that it did is just crushing. It's just heartbreaking if you're England. And this is not to take away anything from Italy. Major congratulations to them. But this game was played in England at Wembley Stadium for a nation that has never won the European Championship, that has won 1 World Cup. They won 1 World Cup in 1966, and ironically, it was 2 years later that Italy wins their first European Championship in 1968. So the times in which both of these nations were at the peak of their powers for the first time happened at the same time. And for a country like England that again, they finally take the lead in the first 2 minutes. The fastest goal ever scored to the European Championship. Luke Shaw one times it with his opposite foot. And you've got England that was on this magical journey, was on this magical run. And then again, in a penalty shootout, they come up short. The tragedy is this has been the history of England international soccer for years. You look at their latest heartaches in shootouts, where they've lost in shootouts specifically for major tournaments. 1990, 1996, 1998, 2004, 2006, and 2012. And obviously 1996 was the European Championship semifinals against Germany, where it was their manager, Gareth Southgate, that missed a crucial PK that lost them the semifinals. And England just has such passionate fan bases for soccer specifically. It almost goes overboard because you've got these fan bases called hooligans, hooligan fan bases that literally are designed, and especially this is prominent and prevalent at the club level, at the English Premier League level, where you've got these fan bases whose sole purpose is to fight other fan bases, hooligan groups. That's what they do. They don't show up to the games. They technically wear and sport their team's apparel and attire. And they just go fight and beat the crap out of other hooligan groups from other teams in different locations in Northern England or just in England in general. They've got a rabid fan base when it comes to soccer. And for them to come up short again in this fashion, it is just brutal. And I truly feel badly for them for coming up short again, because again, at Wembley Stadium, it's in London. Wembley Stadium is in London. And again, not to take anything away, because Italy deserved to win. They played a tremendous game. They had a tremendous tournament. And soccer is just as revered in Italy as it is in England. And Italy created history as well, but it just would have been extra special if England could have somehow found a way to pull through. And it's just a true travesty, and it was just devastating to see them lose in this fashion. I think that England you can swallow losing in regulation. It's much tougher to swallow losing if you're England in another penalty shootout. That is just heartbreaking for me.